Week 9 of the college football season is here. It's a little bit of a smaller slate than we've had in the past month. We've still got a trio of big-time SEC matchups to talk about. A lot of these games are really going to start having playoff implications, which is what we're all desiring as we approach the month of November. We got a couple of under-the-radar games we're going to talk about. Some of these ranked teams going on the road to play unranked teams. Our upset alerts have hit 7 out of 8 weeks this college football season. And of course, we'll have some best bets for you throughout and at the end of the show. This is Always Talking Ball. Tyler Nohe, Lance Barton. We hopped on live on Tuesday night. We hope you guys tuned in. We appreciate it if you did. Don't miss the next one, man, especially starting Tuesday, November 4th. We're going to be going live as soon as the CFP committee comes on at 7 o'clock, usually 7:30. Releases its rankings weekly. We give you rapid reaction. Those are always really, really fun live shows. Take your comments, questions, all that stuff. Real quick before we get started, make sure you subscribe and like on whatever platform you're tuning in on, whether it's YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, just like the video right now. That helps us out a lot. Make sure you're following us on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Big game breakdowns. Let's get to it. Sponsored by Branded Bills. Click the link in the episode description or that QR code in the top right of your screen on YouTube and type in the code BRANDED15 for 15% off your order at checkout. I just looked. It's getting cold, man, and they've got some beanies. They don't have any college beanies, but they got some beanies on there. Looks like you keep your head warm this winter. But, again, they've got all kinds of hats like Lance is wearing right now, an American hat. They've got LSU. They've got Illinois. They've got BYU. They've got all kinds of teams we're going to be talking about today. They got Ole Miss, too, so we're going to talk about them today. But let's start off in the real Death Valley, which was determined earlier this year in week 1. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. LSU hosting A&M. It's number 3 at number 20. Current line is A&M is still holding steady as a 2.5-point favorite at night in Death Valley, 7:30 ABC kickoff. For as much as we have talked ad nauseum about Jordan Hare at night, like Death Valley at night is where it's at, right? I mean, our Brian Kelly obviously touted it earlier in the season to that reporter. He's lost one night game. They've lost one night game, since they've been here. He loves to tout his successes and loves to blame other people for his failures. So we'll get to that here in a little bit, I'm sure. He's 23-2 straight up, though, at home at LSU. He's 16-8-1 against the spread. He's both 3-1 straight up and against the spread. His 4 games as a home underdog. So he's performed well in this spot. A&M, obviously, 6 trips to Baton Rouge since joining the SEC in 2012. 0-6 straight up. Haven't covered a single one of those games. They got 1 push out of those 6 games. The last 17 road games A&M's played, 4-12-1 against the spread. Under Elko as a road favorite, 5 games total, 1-4 against the spread. So a lot of the trends are pointing towards the Tigers. Tiger Stadium's just different at night, though, man. Like, it's talk about the atmosphere first. Like, you've been there. It's just it's almost like an out-of-body experience, especially for he's still a young quarterback in Marcel Reed. We remember this game last year. It was Kyle Field at night. And Reed, LSU had a lead. They jumped out to an early lead. Reed and the Aggies come back and win that game by double digits. But LSU at night is just different for anybody not named Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, 100%. And then I'm pretty sure in that game, Connor Wegman started for Texas A&M, and they made the switch, went to the bullpen to Marcel Reed. He just came in and ran the, pun intended, read option over and over again. I think he threw like 2 passes or something the whole time. It was nuts.
Now he's got receivers to throw to.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. I mean, we'll start there, and then we'll get to kind of the atmosphere. But, Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver are 2 of the most explosive wide receivers in the country. They are incredible on the deep ball. They're just burners, man. And they're one of the best at yards after the catch. There was at one point this season that they led the nation in yards after the catch. It was unbelievable, the numbers they were putting up in that stat, in that category. So you definitely have to be able to get them on the ground. And it's going to be a good matchup. LSU does have a good secondary. They've got some solid cover corners, some solid safeties as well. They went out in the transfer portal and spent a lot of money on these guys, so they'll need to step up and be big time in this game. But in regards to just Death Valley, dude, it is. Yeah, you're right. I've been there, and I don't know that there's another stadium in college football that has like when you're actually there and when you even feel it and see it on TV at night. It does almost have like a spooky, like mystique, like intimidated, like feeling to it when you're there. More so than any other place I've ever been. And it's not just the part like the mindset that when you're there, that you're at a really tough environment and it is loud and all of that, but it's just where that is and how the sun sets there and that area there in Louisiana there on the bayou and it seems like it has like a little bit of a like fog, smoky type feel in the air, like in the air too. It's different, man. It just is. It really is in any other place. It's intimidating as it gets, but they're going to need every bit of that Saturday night. Every single bit of it. Because unfortunately for Tiger fans, like, dude, this LSU offense has been just just strange all year. Uh, can't run the football. Offensive line's just not any good. The play calling is Joe Sloan. Everybody talks about, people that are your big time X's and O's people just really trash him and act like he's not a good OC at all. Hell, it sounds like Brian Kelly. I'm sure he'll probably just blame him for everything on it as well, even though that's also his side of the ball as the offense as well. And Nussmeier and those receivers, those plethora of weapons at receiver, just don't have a lot of help because they can't run the football. So, I mean, this is going to be, if LSU's going to win this game, they're going to need their defense to obviously step up. They need to force, like I had somebody text me the other day and said, our boy Slip texted me the other day and said, hey, if Marcel Reed or A&M that they don't turn the ball over multiple times, 2 times or more, can LSU win this game? Uh, I mean, I don't know. It is strange. I don't know. I don't know if they can.
Yeah, it
What do
sucks
you
too
think?
that like we're 8 games into the season now and we're still kind of like, okay, I mean, if LSU can run the ball this game, they'll have a good shot. But like we're 8 games into the season, they have not proven they can run the ball at all. A&M's defense has proven it can be run on for sure, but it's I just don't know if you're just automatically going to fix your offense and your run game, especially 2/3 of the way into the season.
See, I don't think they will. I don't think they can. Like everybody's talking about Alabama, for example, right now. Like against Tennessee, they couldn't run the ball very well. Ryan Grubb still found ways to use the passing game and use end arounds, misdirections, getting the ball to the receivers quick. Like those are extensions of the running game. LSU did a little bit of that against Vandy. And I remember during the game, the announcers calling the game talked about that, how they're at least doing a few things now that is a little bit more of like an extension of a running game if you can't just line up the traditional way and run it. And again, LSU is going to need to do a lot of that. Problem for LSU too in this matchup. I mean, Cassius Howell, edge rusher for A&M, has 8 sacks on the season. Mike Elko's group always is really good at getting after the quarterback and creating havoc and tackles for a loss. And with booty as this LSU offensive line is, and as many times as Garrett Nussmeier continues to get hit and he doesn't seem to be 100% healthy, I don't know how they're going to keep A&M's defensive front off of him in this game to be able to allow him to work on plays down the field. But that is two things. Nussmeier has to be great. I keep saying this in all these bigger games. In these huge games like this, for LSU to win, their best players have to make plays. I mean, I know that's not rocket science, but that's just it. They've got to give Nussmeier the amount of time because he's legit, to give him time to work with that really good wide receiver core. I'm just not even worried about the LSU running game anymore. I'm not going to sit here and try to predict that they're going to all of a sudden just run the football. If they do, great. They got a great chance to win. Yeah. There's no reason for me to act like that they're going to do that all of a sudden. They have talented running backs, but for whatever reason, the running game won't go, and it's obviously probably due to the offensive line. Defensively, dude, they continue to have trouble with dual threat quarterbacks. Like you think about it, their 2 losses this year. Who are those against?
Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm. Which had a what in that game?
Trinidad Chambliss.
Dual threat. Yep. And Diego
Pavia.
Dual threat. And while they may not have just gashed them in the QB run game, extending LSU has really good pass rushers this year. Really good dudes that can just like from a blitzing standpoint and from along their front four. They can get after the quarterback. But what negates that is a dual threat quarterback. And they continued to do the same thing that they did last year against Jalen Milroe, against Marcel Reed, and against Lenora Sellers before Sellers got hurt in that game against LSU last year. They continue to just crash down and they give up contain. They break containment constantly and allow quarterbacks to get on the outside and make plays, either keeping their eyes down the field like Pavia did last week. He rolls out and he keeps his eyes down the field and he still is able to find somebody open and extend plays that way and using the QB run game. And obviously Marcel Reed is explosive and tons of speed. So they're going to have to be able to contain him and get to him, and they need that crowd to make a huge difference. Huge
Yeah.
difference.
I mean, he's explosive, but he's not necessarily been the most accurate quarterback this
No,
year
he's
for
not.
sure. Like he's had his inaccuracy problems, and I mean, that's the thing though with their offense they've called a lot of crossing routes with easy passes, and he's still been wildly inaccurate with a lot of those throws.
Yeah, I mean he will give you probably some opportunities
Yeah.
to get some interceptions, and that's where again like where it comes into can LSU force a couple of turnovers? Yeah, because I think they're going to have to because I just don't think they're good enough offensively to just A&M not make mistakes or LSU not force them into mistakes, and then LSU still go win this football game. They need to force Marcel Reed and A&M into mistakes or hope that they just make mistakes because, again, Reed will. He's liable to do that. He's, like you
Yeah,
said,
he's thrown a pick in 4 games this year out of 7.
Yep, yep, and he is wildly inaccurate, but when you're just so explosive and you continue to hit so many explosive plays, that makes up for it. So, yeah, and LSU too, we're talking about all this stuff with, containing Marcel Reed in the run game and the explosive passing game. And you still got Ruben Owens and Le'Veon Moss to deal with in the running game. Both of them around 400 yards rushing on the year and averaging almost 6 yards a carry,
Mhm.
and 9 touchdowns between them. So they're going to need a all out max like performance effort from that defense to keep them in this football game. And hopefully their offensive line can give Nussmeier time to cook.
All right. Game picks. Who you got in the game?
I'm taking Texas A&M, man. I've tried to. I'm not making it a best bet or anything. I know that the sharp side in this game is to take LSU at night at home with their backs against the wall. But at this point, I just haven't seen anything to show me that LSU is going to beat Texas A&M. And so again, I don't feel great about picking either side. So I'm going to take the team that I just think is a better football team and take Texas A&M to win this game.
I mean, I'm going to pick LSU just for all the reasons you just said. The sharp side, that home at night,
Mm-hmm.
underdogs,
Mm-hmm.
backs against the wall. They lose this game, they're not making the playoffs. There's no chance of the playoffs. Brian Kelly desperately, desperately needs this game. I don't think he's kind of gotten to the point where the players are not on his side anymore. Like he's not lost the locker room. He's lost the fans. He's losing the fans, right? But
Yeah.
it's not like a situation, you see a lot of times where like the coach has just lost the locker room. The players aren't playing hard
Right.
for him. And I mean, like I said, it's still LSU at night. I think they're going to want to come out, really perform in front of their home fans. And if you look at their schedule, I mean, they got Alabama next. They got Arkansas at home. I mean, they've still got a tough schedule on deck. I think A&M has been due to drop one for a while. They haven't necessarily played the toughest schedule. They got by Arkansas last week. They got by Notre Dame by 1 point earlier in the year. I just think it comes back to bite them on the road, where they're kind of flirting with danger there. So I'm going to take the Tigers on the money line at home as a best bet at plus 120.
Nice, man. Well, you had a lot of success with those this year on the money line pick, so I like it.
Let's move on to the next one. Another SEC tilt at 3:30 on ESPN. Number 15, Missouri at number 10, Vanderbilt. Top 10 Vandy coming in as another 2.5 point favorite in this game. This is two teams we've really watched closely, especially the past couple weeks. Obviously, you saw them in person. Vanderbilt play against Alabama. Then Missouri played against Alabama. So you've gotten to see both those teams. We've watched them in games against Auburn and LSU. Um, I think we kind of know what Vandy's offense is now. We've known what Vandy's offense is since the beginning of 2024, really.
Uh-huh.
Hasn't changed much. And as long as they can keep convincing the NCAA to send Diego Pavia back to school, it's never going to change. I think he has said this is his last year, so I think he's good there. But um, I think it's still kind of shocking everybody. People are kind of getting over it a little bit of it's shocking everybody just how good and talented this Vanderbilt team is, and it's a game. It's not like the LSU game where LSU was completely out talented, 4 and 5 stars all over the place versus Vandy. Missouri, it's not like a talent mismatch. Okay, like Missouri recruits really really well, but they're not Alabama, they're not LSU. So I think talent wise, it's a lot more close. The question you got to ask yourself is obviously we know Clark Lee and that coaching staff are dynamite. Drink is a very good coach as well. Does he have the capabilities to go on the road where they have not had great success in the past couple of years? Does he have the ability to go on the road to Nashville where game day is going to be? It's another big game for Vandy. I know they're coming off a big game, but again, Vandy's been proven the past 18 games or so that they've been tough to stop.
Yes, they have, man. I
And
mean,
and this is a game where Vandy wants revenge from last year. That was kind of the kickstart to where we saw Vandy last year missing that field goal, losing 30-27. This is kind of a revenge
Didn't he
game
go
for 'em.
overtime last year against
He
Mizzou?
did. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it was overtime in Columbia last year. Yeah, honestly, man, there's a lot of things that are very eerily similar about these two teams. Uh, like offensively, both dual threat type quarterbacks, both want to run the football. Uh, they like I'm just looking at some of the numbers too. I mean, Missouri is 5th in the country in converting on third downs or 5th in the Power 4 in converting on third downs, and Vanderbilt's 2nd in the Power 4 converting on third downs. Both of them are really good in the time of possession. They like to possess the football, keep your offense off the field. Vanderbilt's 10th against the run. Mizzou's 5th in the Power 4 against the run. They're both really good on third down defense. So again, they're good at keeping their offense on the field, and they're good at getting your offense off the field, efficient. So it's not a secret as to why these two teams are coming into this game still with only one loss at this time. And Mizzou we know how good those two edge rushers are, and Zion Young and Damon Wilson. They've got 21 sacks on the year as a defense, and they're top 15 in the country in tackles for a loss. So they're really good at creating negative plays and getting your offense behind the chains. So you've got to be able to throw the football to beat Missouri. You've got to. And like last week against Auburn, Jackson Arnold and that Auburn offense, they don't throw the football well. And that's why I think that defense for Mizzou is able to have a lot of success. Where I think that Missouri is vulnerable, and I thought this since we finally watched them play a really good team in Alabama a few weeks ago. We talked about it after that game in our recap of that game, that Bo Perbula is very talented, but this is his whatever. I don't know what game this is, 7th or 8th game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
This is his
Yeah.
7th or 8th start ever. Diego Pavia has been playing college football for 100 years. He's got a ton of experience. I'm not saying that Perbula won't be really good, but up to this point, by far, the two best defenses that Perbula has faced this year are the last two games against Alabama and against Auburn. I know Auburn's record as a team isn't good, but their defense has been nasty all year. All the numbers for Auburn's defense are really good on the year. So the last 2 weeks, Bo Perbula against the two best defenses that he's faced, he has 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in 2 games. His completion percentage is like in the high 50s. It's like 50 something percent. Ahmad Hardy, who's one of the best tailbacks in the country by the numbers. Well, the last 2 weeks against the two best defenses that they faced, he's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry. The previous 5 games against the lesser competition that Mizzou played, he was averaging 7.5 yards per carry. This Vandy defense is very solid and is better than all those games that I mentioned, the first 5 games when Perbula and when Ahmad Hardy was putting up a lot of those numbers. So, I Perbula is going to, for them to win this game, Bo Perbula will have to be better than what he's been the last 2 weeks. Like, you're not gonna go on the road against a Diego Pavia-led team in Vandy and complete only 50%, a little over 50% of your passes and throw picks and not be efficient and beat this team. That's not going to work. I know Mizzou's defense can keep them in this game, but you have to be efficient against Vandy to beat them. It's rare that they beat themselves. I'm not saying that Vandy beat themselves against Alabama, but the 2 red zone turnovers that Vandy had in that game obviously did not help their chances and led to the margin of victory for
Yeah.
Alabama in that game. But again, Alabama has Ty Simpson in that passing game right now. Bo Perbula and this wide receiver core that is very talented, uh, and the tight end in Norfleet, really good wide receivers and a really good tight end in Brent Norfleet. They have to be able to have success in this game against Vandy to win the game. Can he do it? Can Perbula do it?
We've seen a lot of opposing fan bases travel to Nashville, make it a neutral site game pretty much, bring a lot, I mean, in some cases, make it a 70-30,
Mhm.
for the opposing fans. Does Missouri have the type of fan base that's gonna do that?
I don't think they'll overtake the stadium like LSU does or like Texas did
Mm,
or like Alabama does when they go
yeah.
there, but they'll probably have a good bit of fans there. Again, I live in O'Fallon, Missouri, really close to Como, and dude, it's an easy drive to get to Nashville from here. Like from my driveway, it's like a little over 4 hours
Mhm.
to get to Nashville. So uh, there's a chance they could have a nice little decent showing there, but just overtake the stadium? No.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be that at all.
So what I'm hearing from you is, do you think there's anything you've seen from Vandy this season that leads you to believe they're not gonna win this game?
I do think Missouri's defense can keep them in the game. Uh, I just think that Clark Lee does a really good job defensively. Again, being very sound. They've got 20 sacks on the season. They get a lot of
Mhm.
tackles for a loss too, create a lot of negative plays as
Yeah.
well. So, uh, I mean, Mizzou really needs that stretch zone run game with the Mod Hardy to really be successful because I just don't think up to this point, unless he does something this week that we haven't seen yet, we haven't seen Bo Perbula be good enough yet to beat a very quality opponent with his arm.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a situation where one team has Diego Pavia and the other one doesn't. And I think it's going to be a really good football game, close game, because I think both teams are really good again at playing keep away, time of possession. And I think Vandy wins this game. I think Vandy covers the 2.5 I don't know where it's at right now. I bet it
Yep.
during the,
Two
yeah,
and a half.
2.5. So I've got a best bet on Vandy minus 2.5 in this game. I think they get it done and take care of business against Mizzou in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got it as a best bet as well. Vandy minus 2.5. I can't get that Alabama game out of my mind with Bo Perbula and just some of the passes he threw. And like a lot of the, guys we talk to, like we have a lot of respect for and guys we listen to, like we respect their opinion on college football. And a lot of them are saying like he's not a good passer. And you got to be able to do more than just run the ball against Vandy. I know you got a talented running game, but you got to be able to do more than just run the ball.
Yeah, I agree. They need to. It's just again, Pavia very rarely does things to, and Vandy very rarely does things to beat themselves.
Yeah.
Like Auburn last week, we know what Auburn does. Yeah, and Perbula in that game just wasn't very good in that game
No.
either. So yeah, I just until I see him step up and be really good against a very quality opponent, it's just hard for me to back them in a game against one of the better teams in the country with with him at quarterback right now.
Yeah.
Again, he may be really good eventually. They've got a great OC and Kirby Moore, good receivers. If they're able to hold on to, we see the rumors about Drink in Florida and stuff like that, but I'm not getting into that right now. if they keep Kirby Moore and Drink there with all the weapons they're going to continue to have around him, he probably will get much better in the future going forward. But at this moment, it's just tough for me to back them right now. So I'll take Vandy and Diego Pavia -2.5.
All right, so we're both on Vandy -2.5 as best bets. Hashtag anchor down. All right, let's get to the last game of our big game breakdowns. Number 8, Ole Miss on the road in Norman, Oklahoma versus number 13, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's crept up to a 5.5-point favorite for this noon kickoff on ABC. I mentioned it with Ole Miss and Lane. Now the kicker is like he can't win a big game on the road, and here he has to do. He has got to go on the road again. They are 2-6 as road underdogs during Lane Kiffin's tenure at Ole Miss, and conversely, OU under Brent Venables 13-7 at home as a home favorite. They didn't have the same game at all last year. I think Michael Hawkins was playing last year. The defense was beat up. The line was beat up. They still found a way to cover in the game against Oxford or in Oxford 26-14. So Mateer, though, with Oklahoma, has it changed at all? I know that South Carolina, we joked a little bit. They got their running game going against South Carolina, but to me, it just still feels like it's John Mateer bust. Like he's 90% of their offense right now.
Yeah, last week it was a little different, like you just said, but yeah, for their offense to really cook, it really is all on John Mateer's shoulders. The last couple of games against Texas and against South Carolina, like overall offensively, like they weren't as good as they were at the beginning of the year. And a lot of that has to do with, I don't think it's a coincidence of the injury that Mateer is dealing with, that he's playing through on that throwing hand. Again, I can't imagine breaking my thumb or boning my hand around my thumb on my throwing hand and just still playing like he is. I imagine that's getting better week to week. The issue for him is he doesn't have a very good running game to lean on. He was able to lean on it last week against that booty South Carolina run D. But yeah, okay, well, let's start there. Ole Miss run D wise is not very good. They don't have a very good run defense. We saw that last week against Georgia. They're ranked pretty low in rush D overall, and against the run overall in the country.
They're 124th in creating negative plays.
Right. They're not getting a lot of tackles for a loss. They're not getting a lot of sacks, so they're not creating negative plays. They lost so much off that defense last year. Perkins for them, linebackers, one of the best players, period, on the defensive side of the ball in the SEC. But he just doesn't have as much help as he did last year. Obviously, with a lot of those stars that they had along that defensive front last year. But I want to flip really quick to the other side of the ball. Like I do it as well. Like all the numbers tell us that Oklahoma is one of the best defenses in college football.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think this is one of those things that two things can be true at once. They have taken advantage of playing lesser competition as far as offenses, not overall teams, but offenses are concerned. And they do have one of the best defensive fronts in all of college football. But I want to go over this with you here. Oklahoma so far against the offensive ranking. These are the offensive rankings of teams that Oklahoma has played thus far. Michigan is 45th in total offense. Texas is 79th in total offense. Auburn is 107th in total offense. And South Carolina is 127th in total offense. None are good. And we know, like, what do all of those teams have in common, by the way? None of them can throw the football well.
Yeah.
Okay. And Ole Miss is 8th in total offense, and they're really good at throwing the football, and they're really good at again, total offense. They're really good, but running and throwing. So this will easily be the biggest test that this Oklahoma defense has faced this year. But on the flip side of that, Ole Miss, though, they face some solid defenses. I know the numbers tell us that Georgia overall as a defense isn't very good. They're still a good defense. They're just not very good at creating negative plays and sacking the quarterback. But they're still a solid defense. LSU is a really good defense. But Oklahoma, on paper, is the best defense that they faced going into this year. So, like, that matchup in general is going to be fantastic to see where that is. I would love to see. I have no idea if Ole Miss is going to be able to block Oklahoma's defensive front. Do you?
I don't know. I don't know if Oklahoma can block much of anybody right now.
No, Ole Miss. Like, Ole Miss block Oklahoma's defensive front.
Oh, Ole Miss block Oklahoma. Yeah. I mean, both offensive lines,
Not very good.
um, I think will struggle in this game.
Yeah, I agree. But the problem is the Ole Miss defensive front is not the Oklahoma defensive front.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the problem like mostly in lies there. But if Ole Miss can give Trinidad Shambles some time, I would love to see what the Oklahoma secondary looks like against a really good passing game. Because the wide receiver core for Ole Miss, with Trey Wallace and Caden Lee and DeJon Stribling, and I mean, one of the most productive tight ends in the SEC, explosive tight ends, and Daquan Wright, transferred from Virginia Tech, who's literally averaging 20 yards per catch as a tight end. I mean, there's not too many tight ends that's that explosive in college football. So I would love to see what Oklahoma's secondary looks like actually if they get tested. I'm not saying that they're not any good. We just don't know. Like, again, no offense to Oklahoma, but like we're not seeing how much they're getting tested in the passing game defending Michigan or Auburn.
Yeah.
You know, like that's not happening. Or
Right.
Texas, really. I mean, Texas hasn't thrown the football good
Yeah.
all year. So interesting to see if they're able to do that. But I think this game will be one for Oklahoma with John Mateer and their offense. That's got to be where this game is won. I think the defense will be able to slow Ole Miss down more than what we're used to seeing. Like Georgia didn't slow them down at all. LSU slowed them down a little bit, but I think a lot of that had to do with Ole Miss. Just like the way that game was going, they didn't think LSU could score a bunch of points. So I don't think that they were trying to play basketball on grass like they did against Georgia. I think that Oklahoma's defense will be able to slow Ole Miss down a little bit. Uh, I just don't know if Ole Miss's defense will be able to slow down John Mateer in this offense. Because like some of those teams we just named, Michigan's defense, Texas's defense, Auburn's defense, all three of those defenses are better than Ole Miss's. And all three of those defenses are in the top, 20 to 30 of the overall in college football. And Ole Miss's is not. So this is a John Mateer game. And I bet this game when it was at 5.
Every game's a John Mateer game.
Do what?
Every game's a John Mateer game.
Well, for me more, man, it's just been the Oklahoma defense.
Yeah.
I've been saying this Oklahoma D. Every time that I've given out Oklahoma as the best bet this year, it's been I just like this Oklahoma defense to shock. We had them against Michigan, got lucky against Auburn and had them against Auburn. But in both of those games, I said it was going to be Oklahoma's defense that would be the difference. And I think that this game, Oklahoma's defense will slow Ole Miss down, not necessarily shut them down. They'll slow them down. And I think Oklahoma's offense, led by John Mateer at home in this game, will have a lot of success. And they will win this game and cover. I got them at -5. So I've got Oklahoma as a best bet at -5 in this game.
Yeah, for me, I just think you've got a softer defense in Ole Miss, right? But they're going up against clearly the weaker offense in the game. So that's kind of like a moot point right there. And then you've got the really good offense in Ole Miss going against a really strong defense. So to me, that adds up to a very, very tight game. And I just think I'm seeing like a 27-24 type game either way. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Ole Miss came out with this W. Just because we've seen Mateer when he gets under pressure a little bit, if they can create any sort of pressure on him, he will toss the ball up. He will toss the ball up to the defenders, give you a chance to pick that off, just like he did against Texas. All those near, turnover-worthy plays caught up with him in that Texas game. If Ole Miss can get a couple of turnovers early, take the crowd out of the game a little bit. Also, you know me, man. Road teams at noon. I love me some road teams at noon. I'm not making it a best bet, but I could see this being a very, very close game within a 3-point game or so, 27-24 type game. If I were to pick it, though, I'd probably take Ole Miss plus 5.5 and see where that gets me on the road. So, I mean,
real quick before we move on from this, I think that this is a de facto playoff game, by the way.
Yeah.
I think this is a de facto playoff game. With what Oklahoma still has left on their schedule down the stretch, this is a must-win game for them, and it is just as much so a must-win game as far as playoff is concerned for Ole Miss, because when you look at the rest of their schedule, it doesn't look like again, Ole Miss would have to really work at it to be worse than 10-2 if they win this game this weekend. They still have a good chance to go 10-2 even if they lose this game.
Yeah.
But they put themselves in a huge driver's seat with a win on the road at Oklahoma to get to the college football playoff, because there's a good chance that at the end of the year, is a few of the teams that they're looking at resume wise, put it up against each other. Oklahoma, Ole Miss could be put up against each other and see who gets in, who's left out. Obviously, the head-to-head matchup will
Yeah.
carry a ton of weight
Yeah.
in that scenario. But yeah, this is a must-win game for both of these teams as far as the college football playoff goes. If whoever loses this game, I think will have a really tough chance of still making the college football playoff.
Yeah, it just worries me for Oklahoma. We saw them play against Auburn, who's not very good, and it was a 5-point game there before that safety. And then we saw them play against Texas, who we think is just kind of like a average to good team, like not anything special. And they got worked in that game. So this is the best team they've played so far. If Ole Miss gets this win, I mean they're looking really really good for a spot in the CFP, barring a loss to a Florida or Kentucky like they had down the stretch last year. So should be a good game at noon on ABC on Saturday. Ole Miss at Oklahoma. A couple under the radar games here. Let's start the Big 12, our Big 12 Brethren America's Conference. Got number 11 BYU going on the road, facing Matt Campbell and the Iowa Cyclones, coming off a bye. Iowa State has moved up to a 3-point favorite, 3:30 on Fox. Same scenario as last year. BYU gets a big win in the Holy War. And last year they played at home right after that against Kansas, and they lost 17-13 to Kansas. Matt Campbell, I think, is still a good enough coach that with ample time to prepare. I know Kalani Sitake is a G, but ample time to prepare for Matt Campbell. He's going to be able to throw some stuff. Him and John Heacock are going to be able to throw some stuff at Bear Bachmeier.
Did you ever use the phrase "somebody's a G" before you met me?
No, never in my life.
I love it, man. Rubbing off on you. Rubbing off on
Yep.
you. Yeah, man. I mean, we've already both given out, spoiler alert, we've already both given out Iowa State on our previous episode, -2.5 as best bets. And we both talked about the spot here. Iowa State, back-to-back road losses, then a bye week, must-win game for them. They have to win this game to stay in the Big 12 race. And they are good enough to beat BYU at home in Jack Trice Stadium. And then, the spot again, coming off the Holy War for BYU. Yep. Now, the matchup in general here, BYU's defense is a wagon, bro. They're really good. They're really good running the football. Bachmeier's playing just very efficient football, not doing things to get them beat. They're running the football well. So Iowa State, I don't see BYU coming here and beating themselves in this game. But would you say, unless I'm just not thinking of it, this is the best quarterback BYU has seen up to this point, right?
Yeah, boy, Rocco.
Exactly. Rocco Beck,
Yeah.
he is the best passer of the football that they've seen up to this point. And I know it does. We talk about this a lot, dude. Rocco Beck does not get the respect in the dual threat game that some of these other guys do. I think last year he was either led the Big 12 as far as quarterbacks was concerned in rushing touchdowns, or he was second in the Big 12. Dude, Rocco has 7 rushing touchdowns on the year, bro. He's sitting there again with all these multiple dual threat quarterbacks in the Big 12. There's old Rocco with 7 rushing tutties. Leads the team in rushing touchdowns. He did last year too. So he does have some dual threat ability. And again, he's not going to sit there and just be like Vanilla Vic all of a sudden on you. But he's good enough to extend plays with his feet, that BYU pass rush and stuff. He can make plays with his feet to be able to still keep his eyes downfield and find some folks open in the passing game. But, we know with Iowa State, they're going to use those tight ends a lot, man. Burkle and Brahmer, like you talked about them earlier this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both like 6'7" plus and 250 plus, and they're both weapons in the passing game. The white guy is Skilston, Exciting White at wide receiver. I'm not even sure if I said that last name correct. He's really good too at wide receiver. So Iowa State, man, just Exciting White's running all over the place.
Don't forget about all the Exciting Whites at BYU. Our guy Parker Kingston, remember him last year?
Oh yeah, dude, dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He caught a touchdown pass against Utah. And it's just I think it's just two really fundamentally sound football teams going at it in the Big
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, it is,
And
man.
you know what it's gonna be. You know it's probably gonna be a 3 to 4 point game. It's probably gonna be, 24 to 20 Iowa State or, 17-14 BYU. It's a Big 12 game, and it's gonna be close.
Yep. And for Iowa State, we had that trouble against the run last year. They've been better this year statistically than they were last year against the run. They were awful last year against. They had to be better this year.
Yeah.
But this will be one of the better like traditional run game, like tough to stop in LJ Martin. And the dude's got over 700 yards rushing on the year, one of the best tailbacks in the Big 12. He's going to be really tough to stop for Iowa State. But man, again, this is just more so for me the spot. I think Rocco Becht and that Iowa State offense will make enough plays, and I think that the defense will be able to just slow BYU down enough. I don't think BYU's offense is explosive enough to just go in there and just wear Iowa State out. Uh, and I think Iowa State finds a way to get this done and cover that 2.5-point spread.
Yeah, Rocco's gonna have to make some plays. I think he will, so I'm with you on that. I actually got Iowa State at a much better number than that, but I still would take a -2.5 on that line. So,
Yeah.
biggest game in the Big Ten this week. Number 23, Illinois going on the road to Husky Stadium up to the PMW up in Seattle to face off against Washington. Unranked Washington is a 4.5-point favorite over ranked Illinois. 3:30, Big Ten Network. You've got Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman, Denzel Boston, and they've already been tested up there with Ohio State. They played, Michigan last week. They played a lot of good teams. Illinois has been tested against Ohio State. They were throttled by Indiana. Someone here is going to get like a signature win for their season.
Yeah, man. And we know how good Washington is at home. They're just the home road dichotomy. There's not a team in college football that might be more just different as far as home road splits as Washington. I mean, they're awful on the road against the spread and winning straight up, and they hardly ever lose at Husky Stadium. They had one of the nation's longest home winning streaks, right? I know there's been
Mhm.
multiple of those snapped this year, but
Yeah.
they had at the time, I think it was the nation's longest home winning streak when they lost to
Yeah.
Ohio State. Uh,
18 games or something like that.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they hardly ever lose at home. So, I mean, again, they're just tough to go against there, man. And Damon Williams and Jonah Coleman and Denzel Boston, that three-headed monster there on offense, tough to go against. Luke Altmaier, like when you are going to go on the road and play a game like this, having a steady type of QB. I think Illinois is off a bye too, if I'm not mistaken. Uh,
Yeah, they are.
yeah, going into this game, so they've had a couple of weeks to prep. Uh, Again, it's been a few weeks since I've personally watched Illinois play with my own eyeballs. I
Yeah, we
say
watched
few.
them play against Ohio State
I was
last
going to
time
say, never
out.
mind. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I've watched an abnormal amount of Illinois football this year because I've had multiple bets and games involving them, and each
You
game that
gonna
I've
have another
watched,
one here?
do what?
You gonna have another one here?
I will have one here
Okay.
at the end of this.
I gotta give you a nugget. When you get to that, pause. I'm gonna give you a nugget. I wanna let you know because I think I know which way you're leaning, but I wanna let you know. So keep talking.
Okay. Uh, but Illinois' offensive line, the amount of tackles for a loss and sacks they've given up again, in any of their like bigger games this year, when they went on the road and played at Duke, like we saw, just I mean, Duke had like 5 turnovers and Illinois didn't, and they did what good football teams do, and they scored and made those turnovers hurt. They still gave up multiple tackles for a loss and sacks in that game. They did so against Indiana. They did the same thing against Ohio State. Now, I know Indiana and Ohio State are 2 of the best teams in all of college football. So Washington is not Indiana or Ohio State, but they're still a really good team at home. If they're the Huskies usually hold serve at home in the fishbowl. And I'm interested to see how Illinois, because Illinois is not good this year at creating a bunch of negative plays defensively. That if they can't get after Damon Williams, uh, how do they defend the Huskies without being able to get pressure on Damon Williams and able to bottle him up? Give me that stat you want to give me, or these nuggets you want to give me.
The one thing I wanna let you know, I know you're not a huge trend guy, but since 2021, in road games, Illinois is 17-5 against the spread.
Does it say what Washington is against the spread at home
I can look it up for you while you're still
over the
watching.
time? I mean, Bill. We know Bill. Bill is good as a dog in general.
Yeah.
But that doesn't shock me that that number's there because he's as good as a dog in general. But as a road on the road like that, that's pretty. That's that's it. That's strong. Yeah, that is strong.
Now, do you want the Kalen DeBoer years included in there too at home, or do you just want the Jed Fish era?
Give me the last 2 years, just the Jetfish era.
All right, so since 2024, as a home favorite, uh, 6-2 against the spread for Washington. Is that enough to cancel each other out?
Whew.
Against ranked opponents, 1-4 against the spread.
His ranked opponents 1-4 against the spread.
Dude, just go with your gut. Go with your gut.
Yeah, I'm going to take Washington, and I'm going to take it as a best bet for
I just
Washington
did
to
all that
cover.
to make you nervous.
Yeah, I'm going to take Washington to cover. I think it'll be like a 7 to 10 point type game, but again, that's a cover. So I'll take Washington to cover in this game against the Illini.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I mean, it does seem like the more athletic teams give Illinois a little bit of trouble.
Mhm.
And so I just, Damon Williams is about as an athletic quarterback as it gets. Jonah Coleman's a really good running back. They've had trouble stopping the run this year, obviously against Indiana, Ohio State, like you talked about. But USC lit them up a little bit for 32 points too at home. So I don't have a bet in that game, but I would probably lean the home team there too,
And
even given the trends I said.
and Washington has some NFL corners too.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Beatty,
yeah.
the
If
wide
he's in
receiver
Price
there,
Doc, Mario Davis, yeah, they're good.
yeah, Beatty, the wide receiver there at Illinois is legit, and his numbers are fantastic.
Yeah.
But Washington has dudes that they can match up with him, and if they take him away, where does Illinois' offense go? Because they haven't been able to run the football this year because their offensive line is cheeks.
Yeah. All right. Last game, real quick. Let's get to it's number 4, Alabama going on the road. It's in Cocktober, South Carolina, 12.5 point dogs in wounded cock mode, as we said, 3:30 ABC. This is a game. Obviously, we thought that South Carolina was going to be a heck of a lot better. I mean, you had your doubts for sure in the summer when you and I had many discussions about them, but I don't think either of us really pictured them being this bad and
No.
underperforming this bad. But I think when we did our preseason projections, I know for a fact this is a game that I had South Carolina winning outright. I thought it would be more of a, field goal, 4-point type spread, not a almost 2 touchdown spread. And us seeing the South Carolina offense look like it is. You got students on campus protesting Mike Shula as offensive coordinator. It's not a good look right now for Beamer. You got that Virginia Tech job open. It's just kind of looming over everything. Is he going to go to where his dad coached? So it would be really, really tough for me right now to stick to my preseason prediction, but it's just the same thing. Spot Alabama 4-game stretch that they just completed, best in the country so far this year, maybe in the past handful of years. And coming off that Tennessee win, they were celebrating. They had the stogies out, all that stuff. You got to go on the road very next week, 3:30 kickoff. Got to travel east to Columbia. Again, like you said, this is the game where we're going to know, has Kalen DeBoer's program at Alabama actually turned a corner? Because as a double-digit favorite, he has not been good, regardless at Alabama. Even as a double-digit favorite, he played a lot of close games at Washington. That was one thing that they just didn't do. They didn't blow a lot of teams out. And really, so far this year, I mean, they blew out Wisconsin, but a lot of these other wins, they haven't just really blown a lot of teams out. So at 12.5 points seems like a lot, even though everything within me is like, dude, Alabama should have run away with this game.
Yeah, there's nothing on. Let's just call it what it is, man. There's nothing that South Carolina has shown at this point that says that they should compete at a high level with Alabama in this football game. There's not. But the problem is everything you just said. I mean, Kalen DeBoer, since being in Alabama, has 5 outright losses as a double-digit favorite, bro. Every game that he's lost at Alabama, he's been a double-digit favorite in. I mean, the Florida State game this year, the Michigan game and the bowl game, the Oklahoma game, the Vandy game. Tennessee's the only one. Tennessee's the only one they weren't a double-digit dog in. A double-digit favorite in that they lost. So I take that back. But But yeah, there's multiple. Yeah, obviously, there's 4 that I just named off the top of my head that he's lost as a double-digit favorite. So he's really struggled in this role. And so, yes, I'll say it again. You just uttered it, and we'll say it one more time. I know that Alabama just went on the 4-game stretch that they just went on. But during Nick Saban's tenure, one of the most incredible things that there's so many incredible things that he did, obviously. But one of the things that he did that was even more incredible was against unranked opponents and teams that they were supposed to beat. He took together a group of talented individuals, 18 to 22 to 23-year-olds, and kept them locked in to where they still performed at a high level and just beat the brakes off of teams like this in this scenario. They did not lose games like this. And so far, Kalen DeBoer has at Alabama. He beats the ranked opponents and the teams that you're supposed to get up for and that you can get fired up for and that you can take all those talented collective individuals and they play well in those games. This will be, at this point, South Carolina's hopes of SEC championships, hopes of playoffs, anything like that, all are dashed. All are gone. This is now their Super Bowl moment for this year is to beat Alabama. And then the last one, obviously, is your big rivalry game against Clemson.
Yeah, and I'm not going to shortchange Shane Beamer at all at being able to get his team up for this game, especially how this game went last year in Tuscaloosa. Like they probably feel like they should have got that game, but
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's just I know it doesn't sound like you're going to put your hard-earned money on it, but if you were an unbiased fan, hard-earned money, which way would you lean in this game?
I'd probably take Alabama still. Just because, I know the trends and all that, what we just talked about, doesn't necessarily say that you should back Alabama, but I'd probably take Alabama. But another
Trends are
little,
meant to be broken.
well, you know what's just, dude, I don't know if this literally means a thing, but if Mike Shula is going to step up and have a moment,
Save his job
against his old squad that he used to coach at in Alabama, that fired him years ago, before they brought in Nick Saban, was Mike Shula. So
if it's going to happen in any sport, it's going to be college football. That's for sure.
yeah, no doubt. But as far as just the matchup, really quick, I just talked a lot of stuff, but it's the actual matchup on the field. Alabama, again, has struggled a little bit running the football. They ran the ball better against Mizzou before Jam Miller got hurt. He ran the ball well against Mizzou. He had over 100 yards rushing against Vandy. Last week against a really good defensive front in Tennessee, they just couldn't run the football. I do think they need to be able to run the ball a little bit against this booty South Carolina run defense. South Carolina's got 2 pass rushers that are as good as you're going to find in the SEC. So we've seen Alabama be a little vulnerable at the tackle position, and they're going to have a right tackle that is either going to be true freshman Michael Carroll, who is talented, who's played pretty well recently, or they're going to have Wilcom Formby. Yeah. And if Dylan Stewart is lined up on that side, Ryan Grubb and Alabama better have something schematically able to help whoever that right tackle is against Dylan Stewart.
Yeah.
And their other edge rusher is really good too. Yeah. But if it's just, dude, okay, here we are once again talking about Alabama game, and it's this simple. If South Carolina cannot get pressure on Ty Simpson, Alabama will kill them. Mm-hmm. They will cover that spread if they can't do that. Defensively, South Carolina has shown nothing offensively for me to sit here and talk much about South Carolina's offense. It just comes down to, does all of a sudden the offensive line for South Carolina wake up and start blocking a little bit and giving Lenore Sellers a little more time to work?
He's talented.
As talented as Sellers is, if somehow the offensive line is able to help him a little bit in this game and give him some time to either create in the running game or create in the downfield passing game, or give Faison, their running back, a transfer from Utah State, a little bit of time, they can play in it. But again, if Alabama just plays solid, mistake-free football like they've pretty much done over this last 4-game stretch, win the turnover battle like they've done, not have a bunch of penalties like they've done, Alabama's going to win this game and cover, and it shouldn't be hard.
You know what time it is?
That's like the bat signal for this podcast, bro.
It's time to go 8 for 9.
Yep.
Okay, that's what time it is. Upset of the week special. It's time to get to our picks portion of the episode. So appreciate you guys tuning in for this long. Upset alert. We go for teams that are 4-point dogs or more. We take them outright on the money line to pull the upset. I'm gonna start off with just an ugly one, man. Ugly, 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 ugly is all you. It's just a hold your nose pick. Um, but I think it's time. I think it's time to finally trust in this team, or finally put the lack of trust in the favorite. I am going to take the North Carolina Tar Heels at home against the mighty Wahoos of the University of Virginia. 10.5 point dogs. I'm going to take them on the money line to win outright. I've already got them plus 10.5, obviously, but I'm going to take them. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on that money line. Virginia has really, really been very, very fortunate. I know Moose is not going to love hearing this because he was a Virginia touter in the preseason. He got him going 9-3. Props to you. I mean, you got lucky. Honestly, Moose, you got lucky on that prediction because that Florida State game and that Louisville game, they had a couple of defensive touchdowns in each of those games, and then they squeaked by Wazoo last week. I know Ole Miss did the week before. Sure, Wazoo's maybe improving, but a 22-20 victory when Washington State's spending their second consecutive week all the way on the East Coast doesn't inspire confidence. And I think like UNC, they've had to have reached the rock bottom with with the whole stuff with Bill Belichick, all that. I mean, they're playing at home, like they're just due, right? They're due for a win. They've only beat one FBS team this year. That was Charlotte. I think they're gonna. I think it's a week where we only have 3 big game breakdowns to talk about. A couple weeks ago we had 10. We did two-part preview. It's kind of a sleepy week. I think you're going to see some upsets, and if you're going to see upsets, it's probably going to be in the ACC. So give me North Carolina to beat Virginia this weekend. Sorry, Moose.
Yeah, there weren't really any that I just necessarily loved this week. There was one that was a 14.5 point underdog that I'll get to here in a minute that I strongly considered on upset alert.
That would be the highest win for sure. I think 10.5 might be the highest win if we get that one.
Yeah, and while we're on the fly right here, I'm still considering just going for it on the 14.5 point dog. But I think that I am actually going to go to Starkville, Mississippi, and I am going to put Texas, the Longhorns, on upset alert at a much improved Jeff Lebby and the boys Mississippi State squad, who just went to the swamp last week, gave Florida all they want, and it was they ended Billy Napier's watch, and it was his final stand. His no more last stand. It was his final stand. They played them off their feet there. We saw them beat Arizona State at home. We saw them give everything but beat Tennessee at home. They went to overtime with Tennessee. They got their cheeks clapped on the road at Texas A&M. But point being is so far this year, Texas, outside of a pretty inspired effort in the Red River game, just hasn't done anything yet to really impress us, man. Offensively. Defensively, Texas is still really good. But offensively, they are what they are at this point. I don't think that they're just going to have some drastic improvement by the end of the year. I do think the Texas defense, though, is nasty and legit. 6.5 points before the season started. If I'd have told you that Texas is only going to be a 6.5 point favorite on the road at Mississippi State, I thought you were crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But Mississippi State, again, has played solid football. Blake Shapen is the better quarterback in this game. Yeah. I mean, dude, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like, all the numbers would tell you that it's not even close at this point. Like right now, as we see here, I'm not talking about in the future, but right now, as of this moment. And this Mississippi State offense is the better offense in this game. Texas is the much better defense in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So Mississippi State will need to be able to try to probably create a couple of turnovers. That's what you need when you're an underdog in an upset like this. Create some turnovers and make some big plays, explosive plays in the passing game. I do think that they will stress Texas's pass defense a little bit, and they will create some problems for Texas's secondary in this game. And I'm definitely going to take Mississippi State to cover. The 6.5 is the best bet. And obviously, we'll sprinkle a little bit on the money line as I'm taking Mississippi State and putting Texas on upset alert in Stark, Vegas this Saturday.
Yeah, it's first time for Texas going to Mississippi State. Obviously, in the Sark era. And get ready for on Saturday if this happens for all the Texas fans to get on X and say those cowbells should be illegal, they should be banned, blah blah blah, because they're loud, and when you're there, I'm sure they're even louder. Um, they're going to get in Arch's head. Mississippi State, this is the second time they're on the upset alert. They've already beat Arizona State at home, and Lance put them on upset alert in week 2. Mississippi State is 20-12 against the spread at home since 2021. So we got North Carolina, we got Mississippi State, 2 shots to make it 8 for 9 on the upset alerts. Let's get to our best bets to finish us out here. So I'm 29, 24, and 2 on the
I'm
year. What's your
29 and
record?
24.
Dude,
29
look at
and
us
24 on the year.
in sync on the records here. All right, so I already gave out, oh gosh, how many I gave out on Sunday? 4. So I gave out Arkansas money line against Auburn. I think they're like 2-point favorites now. I gave out Vandy -2.5 earlier in the episode, and obviously on Sunday as well. I got Iowa State +1.5 to get that sharp line on Sunday, but I would take them -2.5 too. And then I gave out LSU money line. I also gave out UNC is upset alert. I'm going to take them +10.5. And then I'm with you on Mississippi State too, man. I actually got them at +7 already. So I'm going to take them with an even touchdown and an extra point against Texas. I'm going to add 2 more. You mentioned it earlier, and I'll let you talk a little bit about it, but I'm going to take Michigan State +14.5. It's a night game at Spartan Stadium. They're 3-0 as home dogs this year against the spread. Jonathan Smith has always been really good as an underdog. I don't know. The Michigan offense has been so sporadic. Like, I'm not sure what it's shown you that thinks it's going to win by more than 2 touchdowns in a rivalry game. Could they go out and do it? Yeah, because Michigan State obviously got beat at home by UCLA by 25. So could it happen? Yeah. I just think they're going to come out with an inspired effort in a rivalry game. So 2 touchdowns is a lot for me in that game. And then one more, taking the Fighting Heinschels and the Pitt Panthers -6.5 against NC State. I think they've played very, very well the last 3 games that he's been in. He's been inserted in the lineup. That's kind of sparked their offense a little bit from whatever Eli Holstein was doing, making us look bad for putting him in our top 8 ACC quarterback rankings. But Narduzzi's got the boys rolling. That NC State defense is not good at all. I think this game should probably be closer to double digits. So I'm going to take Pitt -6.5.
Nice, man. Well, I'm going to roll here and get the ones I've already given earlier. I have Iowa State -2.5 against BYU, spot game there. Again, Iowa State coming off back-to-back road losses, bye week, and then BYU coming off the huge game in the Holy War against Utah. So I'm going back to Cyclones there at home. I'm taking Oklahoma -5 against Ole Miss at home in Norman. I just think that defensive line is going to be very problematic for Ole Miss. And again, John Mateer and this wide receiver core as healthy as it's been all year for for Oklahoma. I think they're going to be able to create some explosive plays, and that Ben Arbuckle offense is going to be able to take down Ole Miss at home in Norman. I've got Vandy -2.5 against Mizzou. Again, this one team's got Diego Pavia, the other doesn't. Up to this point, Bo Prabula has not shown us in a big game against a marquee opponent like this that he can step up and win games with his arm. And I think that that's what will have to happen for them to win this game. I don't think he can do it up to this point. Mississippi State +6.5 against Texas. I've also got them as my upset alert pick. So I'll sprinkle a little bit on the money line there as well to upset Texas at home and start Vegas. Again, dude, Mississippi State's home schedule this year has been just unbelievable. Arizona State, Tennessee, now they've got Texas. They also get Georgia at home, and they get the Egg Bowl at home at the end of the year. Season ticket holders in Start Vegas, man, are loving this year.
Oh, yeah.
I gave out earlier as well, Washington minus, I believe it was 4.5 at
4.5.
home. Yeah, 4.5 at home against Illinois. Again, I think it's going to be a good football game, but I'll take Washington to win that game somewhere around 7 to 10 points and cover the spread there. Illinois' offensive line has just been cheeks all year. I think Washington's got corners, the NFL corners that they've got that are going to be able to match up well with Illinois' passing game and wide receivers. And I just think the three-headed monster with Denzel Boston at wide receiver and Jonah Coleman at running back and Damon Williams at QB for the fishbowl offense will be too much for Illinois to handle. And I'm with you on Sparty. I've got Michigan State plus 14.5. I know during the Harbaugh years, we know how Michigan State was kind of the almost the boogeyman against Michigan there for a while. They kind of got rid of that. But you just said it, dude. Jonathan Smith is ridiculous as an underdog against the spread. I believe so far this year against Indiana, we saw what they did in that game at the end of the game to cover the spread. They covered the spread against USC on the
Yep.
road as a
Yep.
17-point dog, lost by 14 on the road at USC. We just saw what USC just did to Michigan in that same building. And
Yep.
then I believe they were getting like 12 and a half or something at Nebraska, and they lost by 11 at
Mhm.
Nebraska. So they've already covered 3 games this year as double-digit underdogs. And I think they, in a rivalry game, inspired effort at home. Again, they don't have anything huge to play for other than beat their bitter arch rival in Michigan and make a bowl game at this point. So this is the first step of doing that. And I think that they will give Michigan all they want and cover that 14.5. And I've got a total that I'm going to give out. I like the under in Vandy Mizzou as well. The total right now is 53. So I'm going to take under 53 in that game. And I think in both teams, really good at creating negative plays, stopping the run. Bo Perbule, I don't think, can light it up with his arm. Both teams are amongst the top teams in the country in time of possession. We know Vandy's going to want to possess the football, run a lot of clock. So, yeah, I'm going to take under 53 in that game. I haven't gotten there yet, but I may take a look at Arizona State at home against Houston.
Mhm.
Houston has only lost 1 game on the year. They got absolutely spanked by Texas Tech at home. They literally haven't played a soul outside of that. They haven't. I love Willie Fritz and the Cougs this year. You know my affinity for Connor Wigman.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah. So now they're going to go on the road to Fun Devil Stadium and deal with Kenny D and the Fun Devils. They're only laying 7.5. The only thing that scares me about that, obviously, a little bit of the spot there. Arizona State coming off that huge win against Texas Tech to get up off the mat again and play another one there. And then Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee has just owned Kentucky, and I just don't know how Kentucky is going to be able to keep up with Tennessee. I think Tennessee's
Mhm.
offense will be able to get buckets on them. So I'm considering that one as well. I think Kentucky put everything they had into last week trying to upset
Yeah.
Texas. Didn't work out. Now they got to play Tennessee, and I think Tennessee's looking the classic example of coming off a loss there where they're looking for somebody's ass to whip. And I think, like, hey, for second episode in a row, look at Kentucky catching strays here. I think
Poor
Tennessee
Kentucky.
might get them. But yeah, those are my best bets for the week.
Okay, that's it, man. It feels good to be back for a preview episode after
Yep.
last week. So we're back. We're not going anywhere. Appreciate you guys tuning in. YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now if you're still tuned in. Share the episode. Share the show with everybody, all your friends, family, all that stuff. We're getting into the nitty gritty of the season. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X at Always Talk Ball, at Always Talking Ball. And we'll put out some videos there, hopefully interact with you guys because I was missing you guys. I was missing you last week with the lack of videos because we didn't do a preview episode. So we'll be back and better than ever this week. And then we'll be back on Sunday to recap and give our reaction to what goes down in week 9 and what is surely to be a fun-filled weekend of college football, as it always is. So for Lance Barton, I'm Tyler Noe. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.